Yeah, my name is Nack from company Dermalog. I would like to give you some views, some slides, some input about fingerprint identification in terms of large-scale government solutions, also in the non-government sector. Some words about the company, Dermalog. Dermalog is a German company. We are in the market since over 17 years now, and we claim ourselves as one of the pioneers in the fields of biometric solutions, especially on the fingerprint. And yeah, we would like to give you some overview here. So it's basically divided into two topics: use of biometrics in government solution, and also for non-government. How can biometric benefit your ID card or passport programs? I'll give you an example on a project case which we have implemented in Yemen, which is a quite difficult environment over there. And then some outlook about the not so much existing projects, let's say like this, in the non-government sector for finger payment and other opportunities where fingerprints can maybe used right now or hopefully also in the future. Why we are using biometric? It's clear we want to avoid duplicate. We want to, especially in terms of ID card programs, we want to assure that nobody gets two identities or different identities within such a project. And we want to ensure who is the person in front of me. We want to ensure that only the right owner of a card or passport can use the document with the help of biometric. There are different kinds of biometric methods. It's iris, face, and fingerprint. The project shows that most of the projects are using fingerprint identification, and as it is a quite reliable and proven technology since over 100 years, fingerprint identification is used in real projects on the market. Just an example of the results of an AFIS system, of a so-called AFIS system. This is from our project we installed in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, for the national ID card. This person applied for an ID card under the name Sara Mendel Figueiredo, and the system found her by her fingerprint another record under the name Clotilde Jomares dos Santos. So this person tried to get a second identity, and the AFIS found her. Another example of fraud or wrong identity is this case. This person applied for an ID card under the name Luis Carlos Correro Barbosa, but his fingerprint does not match with the one in the database. So he tried to get the identity of another person. Also here, fingerprint or AFIS solutions can help to avoid frauds and wrong identities. In Rio, actually, we found in the year 2005, just for an example, about 15,000 cases where people tried to get a wrong identity. So it's a very effective solution there. Another example, how people can also try to cheat the system. This person is from a system we had installed in Indonesia, where he applied under a different name, under different names. He gave different birth date, and he could manage also to convince the operator that he apply under a male and once the second time under even as a female. So because he was trying or thinking that the system will search only in the male database side, which we don't do. We always search the full database. So also these people are catched. And he managed it basically by bribing the operator. Yes, it's the same operator in both cases. So, but again, the system catched him according to the fingerprints. So the core system behind it is the AFIS, Automated Fingerprint Identification System. It's a mixture of hardware and software. It's basically the algorithm of coding fingerprints and matching the fingerprints in a large-scale database. We use different, it's the scenarios. Basically, you do an enrollment. Nowadays, for sure, with live scanners. You still have a system where you have paper enrollment, so you have to scan in the forms. So you capture the data, you send them to the central site, to the central AFIS, and do a one-to-many match and check for the duplicates. If no duplicate is found, a card or passport can be issued. This is the main scenario. The reason for sure, or the national ID, is the principle behind it is that you want to assign a nationwide unique ID to all citizens in the country. So you want to have a duplicate-free national register. The benefits are for sure. You have equal opportunities for all people in the country, and you prevent the fraud. The idea or the concept is, as I described already, the enrollment, but later on also the verification. You are able to verify yourself at different options, so to say, to identify yourself by payments, by border control, by different usage, and with the help of your ID card or your documents. What you need to have a AFIS or to have an AFIS in place to manage national ID or passport systems. You need a very performant system, and you need a very accurate system. You have requirements where solutions or projects are able to have a throughput of 20,000 records per day or even more, even 100,000 records per day, and you have to match them against, for example, this is just sample figures of 30 million records. So you have to match this amount of data in a very short time. Means you need to have a very performant system without losing the accuracy inside. So this is the challenge. You still need to have a very high accuracy by managing a very high amount of data. And the other issue is for sure the incoming data has to have a very good quality. Herefore you require fingerprint scanners. Good quality fingerprint scanners which assure the best outcome in the quality, so that the coding of the images can be done in a proper way. Ideally, you have also a live detection with these scanners to avoid fraud. I will later on come to this issue also. People try to enroll themselves with fake fingerprints, and you need to for sure to do this in large scale quantities, so pricing is also an issue where we have here different solutions to offer. Just an example, a quick example, interesting example. We did a project in Yemen where the government basically had a problem that the Ministry of Civil Service, so-called, had a database of employees of about 460,000 people, but the guess was that about 60,000 of these people in the database are not existing, so double identities. It means that at the end, double 60,000 salaries were paid out every month for non-existing and for sure for non-working persons. So every month, millions of US dollars paid out unjustified. So the idea was basically enrolling all people with a fingerprint, make a deduplication search in the AFIS, and issue a biometric ID card at the end. So there was a tender process which we won, and after that we had different issues to work with. Especially in Yemen, you had a very low or even non-existing infrastructure, technical infrastructure. You had to, the availability of IT expertise in Yemen is quite low. Now it's improving for sure. And for sure, the approach of project management was different than we were used in Germany or in Europe for sure. Especially different cultural habits like chewing cud after 2 o'clock. Everything stopped working at that time. So a part of this, we had to realize the project. We installed, sorry, this was a little bit too fast. We had to install a central database, a clustered server for 500,000 people or 500,000 records, and an ID card personalization system for 500,000 cards. And we had for sure, which is even more important, the realization of services with the help of services at installation, even at the remote sites. Training is a very important part with knowledge transfer and permanent project management on site. So at present, we could identify all wrong identities or duplicate identities in the database. That means all double salaries are not paid out anymore. So the project was basically awarded by the World Bank as one of the most successful IT projects, and the government saves a lot of money every month by having a clean and duplicate-free database in this. And therefore, the system was extended to other ministries also, which we are implementing right now, and could also get different additional awards after it. So, as a summary for APHIS, what you have to consider when you want to install a large-scale biometric database or fingerprint system. For sure, you have to think about the scalability. The system has to be able to be adapted to different requirements you may have even in the future, so it needs to be scalable. The workflow and the GUI should be customizable, so it has to be adapted to your different requirements you might even face in the future. Non-proprietary hardware should be a prerequisite for such a system, so that it makes you vendor independent. Interoperability, that you are able to interface to different solutions you may have in place or you want to have in place in future. For sure, you have to conform to international standards, and you should ensure that you have access to your own data for the whole time of your project. To give you some outlook on the non-government systems or projects where you can use fingerprint or biometric, we managed to integrate the fingerprint systems into a payment system in Germany. I will show you a quick video on this. I hope it will work out now. Yeah, that looks good. This is German. It says, "Simply pay with your fingerprint." It's a system installed in one of the largest supermarket chains in Germany, in Cologne, in a pilot phase. You have a registration counter where the customer can enroll himself with his bank card and with his fingerprint, and which is quite easy process. In this case here, it will be supervised by an operator. So you enroll 2 fingerprints. These fingerprints are stored in a central database, in our case in Hamburg, so about 300 kilometers far away from Cologne. And it's checked in an APHIS system, whether this person, first of all, is maybe already in the database or not. So if not, the account is issued, so to say, and the data are in the database. What you have seen before is that the cashier, even the operator of the cashier, is enrolling himself or logging on himself with a fingerprint. And the payment process basically works like this, that you have the option to pay cash with your credit card or even with your fingerprint. What we did to see the benefit, for example, is that we compared the time, how much time it will take to pay, in this case, with cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those people who are attending these smart
so it's about 14 seconds here in this example.
Please collect your tickets from stand number 59.
You have the bank card.
For all inquiries related to the Smart Card Awards and attendance, please also visit stand 59. Thank you.
Which is also taking quite a time. Or he has the option to pay only by his fingerprint. So no card, no PIN number in addition is used, only the fingerprint. The fingerprint is sent to the central database, is matched and identify the person immediately. So the benefits of this system is first of all the time. Your payment process is much faster, you avoid queues, and it's even convenient. So you don't have to think about bringing your card or your cash with you. You simply can pay with your fingerprints, which you usually always have with you. So this is a system we installed there, and for sure can be adapted to any kind of payment system in combination with cards or even not without cards like here in different environments. So then what can we do as well for the fingerprint? You know this from many laptops, for example. You can enter your data with the help of biometric. We have established in Germany a biometric data center where you can access or interface to different cashier systems like finger payment, access control, time attendance, or even biometric log-on to your data. Everything can be connected and centralized at the end, and make, so to say, an overall biometric solution out of it. Here's some brief information about the biometric access control. Time attendance is a big issue in many companies, and especially in large-scale companies where you can use the fingerprint for sure to identify your employee every morning and to assure that also he is coming for the work and for starting the day and not the colleague with the help of a token or an ID card. And for sure, the log-on onto the PC. What I mentioned before, there are already issues where people try to fake fingerprints. Fingerprints can be faked. You can create fake fingerprints with a quite easy materials like wood glue. Here you see some images from a video you can find in the internet how to create fake fingerprints with the help of a glass, a fingerprint you find on a glass. You make a photograph of it, print it out, and at the end you are able to create a fingerprint. So therefore it's important that you have the option to detect these kinds of fakes. We're working on this since quite a while, and we're able to basically detect all materials you put on the scanner which are not a living skin or a living finger. So here are some examples how with which kind of materials you can fake fingerprints. All of these materials we are able to detect and gives the operator an indication whether this is a real finger or not. So it's a combination basically of the hardware and the software together. And we believe it's a very important feature for future solutions where fingerprints are used, especially for payment processes, and should be always involved in such a projects. So because some issues or some outlook on the future trends finally, for sure we are believing that biometric will be an issue in online identification in the future, and for sure in the banking sector where you are replacing or adding fingerprints to the PIN number, to the ID card to authenticate yourself by your biometric solution. So this was just a brief outlook and view how these fingerprints are used already since a while. As I said, we'll be doing this since a while, and hopefully in the future also in other parts where ID cards used, especially cards used, and in combination with the fingerprints. Thank you very much.